miraculous way in many ways. But that has resulted in one critical thing at this point. We, I think, have all forgotten that food starts in soils. We have disconnected the food chain, and I think it's highly time that we resynchronize the whole food cycle. In many ways, companies have started to work on this, and the interesting aspect of carbon is that it's a very integrative measure of how desynchronized we are. Looking at Danone, we have, over the last 7 years, been able to maintain the level of carbon emissions, despite the fact that the demand for our products have grown, increasing by 50%. So I could pretend that we've done our job and that we have reached our own carbon peak. But now, in the spirit of the discussions of this COP21, we have decided to reframe our climate policy and make it match the 2-degree scientific scenario. And this will mean very breakthrough commitments that I'm going to repeat in front of all of you here. One is that instead of looking at the part of the cycle that we control, we are now going to be responsible for the carbon emissions of the full cycle of our processes, from the farms, the hundreds and thousands of farmers that we work with, to our billion of consumers in the world. This is a huge responsibility that we take, because we're taking it beyond the strict control of what we do every day. And this is where there are 3 times more carbon emissions, in particular in agriculture, than in our own controlled perimeter. That's a first breakthrough. The second breakthrough is that we expect, we have committed that on this total perimeter, we would reach the peak of the carbon emissions in the next 10 years. So within 10 years, the total emissions of this cycle will start declining. The ambition that we have ultimately, consistent with the UN scenario, is to reach a 0 net carbon emission for the whole of our cycles. It means that beyond the very strong reduction of the intensity of our production system, of our agriculture, of the recycling, we will have to engage even more than today in carbon positive activities. And they exist in many areas. What Ariane has described with the Moringa Fund is a carbon positive activity. What Ngozi has described as the public partnership, private partnerships, is also encompassing positive carbon activities. We have developed our own with the livelihoods funds, a first fund, then now a second fund that we've just launched for family farming, and many others. And so the only thing I would like to say is that we will not be able to do this alone. The other breakthrough in this climate policy is the fact that we will rely on many, many other people to achieve this reduction with us. This is starting a full process of co-creation. In many ways, we will need a lot of you in this room, actually, and I would like just to finish by saying that I'm optimistic in our ability to be there, because already today, more than 100 projects around the world are run in this principle of direct or indirect carbon positive activities, leveraged quite often by some of your organizations in this room. And I'd like to finish by thanking you for walking the talk with us. Thank you.